start quickly. We'll finish. Just we'll do a small thing. We'll try to see some new data, and we'll see how to understand something in that data set. Then we'll stop. So as usual, please start with your R Studio. So without that obvious. So section C is here. Fine. So we'll be doing it. Today's 26 March. तुम्हारा एग्जाम कब शुरू हो रहा है?
18th.
वो अच्छा 18th, मतलब 2 weeks है शायद, और क्लासेस का नहीं 3 weeks होगा. 3 weeks मतलब मैंने एक और वीक लेता हूँ, फिर मैं राजू सर को बोलता हूँ विल टेक 2 more weeks. उनका भी कुछ पार्ट तो हुआ नहीं है मिड टर्म के बाद. So let us quickly see. So have I told you sometime there's a data set called empty cars? So if I type this empty cars, I can see quickly the data
Yes,
set.
sir. Last class we did it.
Previous class में किया.
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, क्यों किए थे? What we are discussing related to this empty cars previous class. Maybe we are trying to see something, some small thing like dimension and all. Is that right?
So we have discussed about the difference in how it is tabulated about the iris and the empty cars.
अच्छा, ये सब लिखा था क्लास हेड रो नेम्स. अच्छा रो नेम्स ये तुम्हारे इधर बताया था तो अच्छा हुआ. सो सेक्शन डी में नहीं बोला था, तो दे आर टेलिंग ओके दिस इज फर्स्ट टाइम दे आर लर्निंग. फाइन. तो एम्प्टी कार्स, व्हाई आई एम टेलिंग दिस, क्या होता है ना, व्हेनेवर यू आर नाउ लर्निंग दिस काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स, यू शुड हैव सम आइडिया अबाउट कि व्हाट काइंड ऑफ डेटा आर देयर इन आर. कोई पूछता है कि अच्छा कुछ डेटा सेट, एग्जिस्टिंग डेटा सेट का नाम बताओ. सो दीज आर ऑल इंस्टॉल्ड इन योर आर. ये नहीं कि कहीं बाहर से हम ला रहे हैं. दैट इज है, हमने ये टाइप कर लिया एम्प्टी कार, वो आ जाता है. मैं अगर टाइप करूंगा डायमंड, नहीं मिलता है. बट इट्स ए डेटा सेट, इट्स देयर इन सम अदर पैकेज. अभी तक मैं तुमको पैकेज का तो बताया नहीं, तो आप दूसरे सेक्शन पे नहीं बता, तो अभी नहीं करेंगे. बट क्या होता है कि ये सारे डेटा सेट डिफरेंट पैकेज में रहते हैं. तो एम्प्टी कार जो है वो तुम्हारा बेस इंस्टॉलेशन में है. सो दैट इज व्हेनेवर टाइपिंग यू आर डायरेक्टली गेटिंग. बट द क्वेश्चन इज हाउ टू गेट इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट दिस डेटा सेट. क्या करोगे?
Question mark empty cars.
Very good. Question mark empty cars. This is just you are getting the help of it. So do that. Take 3 to 4 minutes. Read through that, because this is first time. Like iris data, you all know what is there in iris data, by individual variable, type of the information, all you know. Similarly, empty cars का एक बार पता करो क्या है. Why I'm telling this data set again, you may be thinking there are hundreds of data set. Why we should like learn all these things about this data? Because these are very kind of, you can say, frequently used across worldwide, I can say. You'll see many books, whoever is writing something, or even in Google, if you find something, you'll see this kind of data will appear again and again and again. So it's good to, like, when you are reading there, you may be thinking ये क्या है, ये empty car आ जाता है. So if it you know beforehand, it is good actually. That is the reason I am showing you. Okay, let us do something about these empty cars. So take 3 to 4 minutes and tell me what is there in the data frame. आराम से 3-4 minutes you take and go through each information. Okay, so time up. What did you find here? Can tell us what is there in this data?
Sir, it is this data has fuel consumption values and 10 aspects of automobile design with 32 observations of the automobiles.
Okay. So how many observations are there?
32 observations.
And each observation represent what? Belongs to what? Each observation.
Name of the automobiles.
Acha. Each observation belongs to a car. Simple. So there new every individual car. Each car type का ये properties बताता है. So what are all those properties? If you look at those, like you told, aspects, so what are those individual aspects? What is this? All these are mentioned here. Can you see in the code how to see what are those variable names?
Yes, sir.
How we will see the variable name? What should be the code? You can anyway do like scroll up and see, okay, this is the column name. But any good idea rather than scrolling up like this?
Call names. Empty cards.
Call names of empty cars. That is good. Correct. So these are the variable or property name. So now before like we did in Iris, we should also know what individual variable are representing. So what is all these things representing? MPG represent what?
Miles per gallon.
Outside gives some sort of mileage. Then cylinder,
Number of cylinders.
good. So these are all numbers. Do you think these are numeric data? These are all numeric data? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this cylinder, you think numeric? Okay, we'll come back to that. What is this DISP?
Displacement.
What does that mean?
How much distance it covered in second?
The car covered in a second.
No, sir. Hour, I think. Not sure.
अच्छा unit का चलेगा. Unit का is okay. Even it's not somewhere it might have been mentioned, but even I have not checked. Somewhere होगा. But forget about the unit. But it's not the car covered distance. Is there any mechanical engineer here?
Yes, sir.
कौन है तुम हो?
Yes, sir.
ओ अच्छा इसलिए बोल रहे हो the distance covered. अच्छा. What is that gross horsepower HP?
How much energy it consumes?
How much energy it actually able to carry? So how much horsepower? Depending on that horsepower, you know, like it can carry higher load or lesser load. So rear axle ratio, DRAT drag. So this is like you have known there is front axle, there is rear axle. So this rear axle is connecting the two backside wheels. Now this ratio is some sort of, you can say this distance between these back wheels divided by the total distance between front and back wheel. Not much important here, but it's okay to know that. Weight is obviously weight of the car. Q-sec is some sort of cubic second, which is 1/4 mile time. Again, this is not much important, but some numeric data, which is how much time it's taking to cover this 1/4 of a mile. What is VS?
Engine type.
Engine type. Okay, good. So any idea what is that VS? There is something it's showing also, some V shape, some straight. What are that?
Whether the engine is V-shaped or it is straight, that it is representing.
Okay, good. So where can you see, or if you can explain to others what is a V-shape engine and what is a straight engine? Do you all have seen this ad? एक आता था कैस्ट्रोल और lubricant oil का ad आता है. Something, एक piston is reciprocating inside a cylinder attached to a crankshaft. Have you seen that ad? कैस्ट्रोल ऑयल या सिलेंडर का मूव करता है और बोलता है दिस इज द गुड lubricant oil. Have you seen that ad, all of you? So you do not need to be automobile or mechanical engineer to understand this. These are basic things. If you have seen that ad, just tell me. Or else I have shown that I did just Google search and I was showing it to the section D in morning. So let us see that. Can you see these figures? Just see this figure, this figure, and look at this figure. What do you see here?
Set of pistons.
Second is
V-shape.
V-shape.
So here you see the pistons are arranged in a V shape across a common crankshaft. So this is the common rod, which is the crankshaft, and ये crankshaft मतलब ये कोई इसमें कोई jointed नहीं है, joint नहीं है. This is not a welded joint or anything. This single cast iron का बनाया हुआ है, single casting product. ये starting से end तक जो देख रहे हो, this is called crankshaft. तो इसी shaft के ऊपर ये सब individual चीजें लगाए हुए हैं. This is piston. ये जो ये दिख रहा है, this is called a piston ring. ये कुछ ये है इसलिए कि friction को रोकने के लिए. So many functionalities are there. This is, you see, this is a straight line engine, straight engine. This is V engine. So straight means all these pistons are in straight. They are not like V kind of thing. तो अगर यहाँ पे हम वापस जाएंगे, सो ये बता रहा था इंजन 0 is V shaped, 1 is straight, fine. Then look at this AM transmission. What does that mean? This is automatically or manually. How your this gear mechanism, they are automatic gear or you are shifting the gear manually. Tomorrow is such Activa or even two-stroke vehicles. આજકાલ even cars are there, automatic cars. You do not like need to learn all those things to change gear, put a clutch. So they are automatic, just like scooty. So this is automatic transmission. One is manual, which is you are just changing, shifting the gears. तो इधर गियर का बता रहा है, नंबर ऑफ फॉरवर्ड गियर. यू ऑल नो गियर लाइक फर्स्ट गियर, सेकंड गियर, थर्ड गियर, लाइक दैट. नंबर ऑफ कार्बोरेटर, व्हाट इज दैट? कार्ब, व्हाट इज दैट?
So carburetor is a place where fuel and air mixture happens.
Carburetor is a place where mixture happens and the spark is generated. So
Yes.
let us see here. If you just look at some figure, just look at here. This is a piston and this is moving up down inside this cylinder. This is a cylindrical valve. तो ये सिलिंड्रिकल वाल्व बनाया गया है. दिस इज द मेन पार्ट ऑफ द इंजन. एक बड़ा सा यूनिट होता है इंजन में, where this is a solid cast iron का structure बनाया गया है through casting. So this is a cylinder जैसा काम करेगा. तो inside that this piston will go up and down. But inside this space, can you see this piston? इसका ये कुछ तो compress करता है. When this ये piston जो move कर रहा है, it basically compressing and expanding something. What is that something?
The piston.
इसके बीच में इधर क्या हो सकता है? एनी गेस? ये पिस्टन है, दिस इज सिलेंडर. ये जो बीच पे एरिया दिख रहा है, ये क्या हो सकता है?
There
So fuel,
उस पे एयर एंड फ्यूल का मिक्सचर है. सो द मिक्स ऑफ फ्यूल एंड एयर, इसके अंदर जो है उसका फायरिंग होगा. फायरिंग मतलब व्हेन यू फायर दिस एयर एंड फ्यूल मिक्सचर, व्हेन यू इग्नाइट दैट. पेट्रोल का मतलब सिंपल बात है, आग लगाओगे अभी तुम पेट्रोल पे. सिर्फ पेट्रोल तो नहीं होगा, इट नीड टू मिक्स विथ एयर. तो ये फर्स्ट टाइम जो फायरिंग कैसे होगा? व्हेन यू किक करते हो और यू प्रेस द स्पार्क प्लग. ऑटोमेटेड स्विच प्रेस करते हो ना, आजकल किक तो नहीं होता है ज्यादातर, राइट?
self start.
सेल्फ स्टार्ट जब तुमने क्लिक किया तो क्या हुआ? दैट स्पार्क विल जनरेट. यहाँ पे इधर देखो, इधर स्पार्क जनरेट होगा. तो ये कार्बोरेटर मैकेनिज्म इधर ही लगा हुआ है. दैट्स कार्बोरेटर ये थोड़ा सा कुछ फ्यूल ऑयल मिक्सचर यहाँ पे देगा एंड इट विल फायर थ्रू द स्पार्क प्लग. सो इनिशियल स्पार्किंग, इनिशियल इग्निशन एक बार हो गया, उसके बाद क्या होगा? दैट जैसे यहाँ पे फायर लग गया, क्या होगा? एक्सप्लोजन होगा. पेट्रोल एंड एयर का जो मिक्सचर है, इट विल एक्सप्लोड. ये सर नो, उसका वॉल्यूम बढ़ जाएगा ना तुरंत.
Yes, sir.
जो एयर एंड फ्यूल का मिक्सचर था, इट विल एक्सप्लोड. तो ये क्या करेगा? सडनली पुश द पिस्टन डाउनवर्ड. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? एक बार ये पिस्टन मूव कर गया, मतलब योर mechanism, your force is transmitted from piston to crankshaft to gear to propeller shaft to wheel. आ गया. So mechanism of movement now start. उसके बाद अपने आप ये piston up down होगा because that fuel का जो initial ignition हुआ था, उसके बाद immediately next subsequent fuel का firing होते रहेंगे. So this carburetor is fitted to each piston. तो हर पिस्टन पे ये जो मिक्स करके फायरिंग होगा इनिशियली, दैट इज डन बाय दिस कार्बोरेटर. तो ये तुम्हारा कार्बोरेटर वाला पार्ट हो गया. नंबर ऑफ फॉरवर्ड गियर हो गया. सो नाउ लास्ट थिंग, दिस वाज योर डाउट, दिस डिस्प्लेसमेंट. तो डिस्प्लेसमेंट का इधर यूनिट लिखा हुआ है क्यूबिक इंच. चलो मान लो यू हैव माइट हैव सीन सीसी जो बोलते हैं गाड़ी का, 2000 सीसी, 1500 cc. That is nothing but displacement. Now can you guess what is the meaning of displacement? नहीं, you all know some cc में मार्किंग होता है ना गाड़ी. Alto 800 cc, 1200 cc, 2000 cc, 2500 cc. SUV का, XUV का कुछ और ज्यादा सीसी होंगे. So what does that represent?
कितना पावर है गाड़ी का?
अच्छा, कितना पावर है. चलो इन
Sir,
मतलब हॉर्स पावर कितना होता है इंजन का वो?
नहीं सर सीसी का फुल फॉर्म होता है तो
तो
क्यूबिक.
इधर लिखा है हॉर्स पावर, तो एक और यूनिट इधर लिखा है HP.
सर cc क्यूबिक सेंटीमीटर होता है सर. मतलब
हाँ, तो इधर वही, इधर क्यूबिक इंच लिखा है. सो दैट इज आई टोल्ड यू सीसी इज, हम लोग जैसे पता करते हैं क्यूबिक सेंटीमीटर. गुड, बट इट रिप्रेजेंट व्हाट अल्टीमेटली?
So volume of the fuel consumed, I think.
अच्छा, So at least you are getting an indication that जिसका CC जितना ज्यादा है उसका पावर उतना ज्यादा है, right?
Yes, sir.
तो ये CC क्या हो सकता है? Let us see in the figure. ये जो एरिया है, this piston is compressing the air inside this cylinder. So this piston can, मान लो कि ये it can come down to this level. यहाँ तक नीचे आ सकता है and this is the upside point where it can move up. तो inside this much of area is area नहीं volume, मतलब cylindrical volume. तो ये जो cylindrical volume है, that much of fuel and air it can compress or it can exert power or it can combustion can happen for this much amount of fuel. उससे ज्यादा नहीं हो पाएगा obviously. तो डिपेंडिंग ऑन दिस वॉल्यूम गाड़ी का पावर you decide whether it's going to be exerting higher power or low power, obviously depending on how much fuel it's consuming or it's burning. So how much fuel it's burning, it purely depend on this much of volume. ये जो volume है इसी को बोलते हैं cc. So this cylinder volume inside space, that much that can be ignited, it's called displacement. So this is your in cubic inch लिखा है बट cubic centimeter, तो obviously volume का यूनिट तुम्हारा क्यूब में होगा because some dimensions का 3 टाइम पावर लेना पड़ेगा. How you get the cylinder volume? Can you recall some formula? Even if you do not know the formula, you can quickly think how you should get it. Surface area into height. What is the surface area? What is the surface area of this piston? इसका जो ऊपर का जो सर्कुलर एरिया दिख रहा है, इसका एरिया कितना होगा?
5r square.
Very
Pi r
good.
square into
Pi
h.
r square into this height. So this will be the total volume of the cylinder, which is nothing but this cubic centimeter. Now look at this data. So you have very well now understood this. So what we'll do, we'll just try to see some data from our analytics perspective. So at least you are now learning how this data frame is, what are there. So we'll look at this head of empty cast, let's say. So what do you see in this data set? Try to see the numbers. It's not only like learning the variable. See the numbers and make some comment. What are the type of each variable here?
Numeric.
Okay. All of you agree with that? MPG, these are numbers. Cylinder is also numbers. All things are obviously numbers, some decimal, some numbers. So do you think all these are numeric type? Take the example of cylinder. Can you get it by some code? Is there any way we can find out what is the data type of this variable?
Class cylinder.
Class cylinder, ऐसे लिख दूंगा.
Sir, STR with empty cars, then we'll get the
अच्छा, str empty cast लिखेंगे तो it will show you all these things. Just wait. I have done something in that previous class, so it has taken care of those things. So I'm removing the previous class thing, so now it's fine. So when you do empty cast structure, what do you see? That is good answer. You have done this in the last class. STR किया तो हमें दिख जाता है type. So क्या दिखा अभी?
Type of all the variables.
So what do you see here? All the variable type.
Numeric.
Fine. So it's noting like everything are numeric. Now look at some data, MPG data. So it's any value is obviously possible. Within some range, it can be 21.1, 0.2, 0.3, because these are mileage per gallon, so it can be anything. There is no restriction. Cylinder data, look at that. What do you infer from the cylinder information? Is it like any number possible in that variable? Think practically. Do you think any number of cylinder possible? Or even if you have a code here, can you tell me some code? How many types of cylinder are there? How many types of cylinder data are there? Are there like some any kind of cylinder or any limited number? How to know that? What is the common conception?
You can use a table to count the types of.
That is good. Table, empty cars, dollar, cylinder. So yeah, आ गया. How many types of cylinder are there now?
Three types.
3 type, 4, 6, and 8. The common conception is also like that. It cannot be like any number of cylinder तो हो नहीं सकता. Usually number of cylinders are like this: 4, 2, 6, 8, 12, 24. You'll see large trucks, the cylinders are 24. Ship, ये जो ship, बड़े बड़े ships होते हैं, तो उनके जो cylinder, number of cylinders can be like 36, 48, 72. तो these are just for cars. तो कार के cylinder generally 12 से तो ज्यादा नहीं होगा. So what is your guess here? The number of cylinders, they are obviously mentioned here numeric, but what sort of information or you believe the data, we should treat the number of cylinder as what kind of data?
Can we treat them as categorical data?
Excellent. So we should take the cylinder data as categorical data because these are certain types. They belong to some type of cylinders or some categories. It's just showing some properties of a vehicle. You are not going to like find a mean of cylinder. I'll ask you what is the mean cylinder of this data frame. Is that going to give you any meaning? What is the average number of cylinder आप पूछा जाएगा. What information you'll get? Suppose you'll find out mean. How to get the mean of cylinder in this data frame? Average of number of cylinders. So we'll do mean empty cars dollar cylinder 6.18. ये क्या meaning? Are you getting any meaning out of it? But average of अगर मैं बोलेंगे हम लोग कि MPG तो 20 है उसका average mile per gallon. So you can think of okay, whatever the vehicles are here, the average mileage is 20. अब तुम बोलोगे एवरेज number of cylinder is 6.2. What does that mean? Practically, it gives no meaning. So it's rather meaningful in this way. There are 8-cylinder vehicle are there are more vehicles, 6-cylinder vehicle, there are less number of vehicles are there, cars are there. So this is how you should treat the cylinder variable. So cylinder variable should be taken as a categorical data. तो हमारा तो ये न्यूमेरिक दिखा रहा है str if we do empty cars doll just it's showing all numeric, right? So what do you think to do here? When you start working with this kind of data frame, do you want this cylinder to be treated as numeric? Absolutely no, which you have already told, this will be treated as factors. जैसे iris data set में क्या था? The species were factors because some type of species. Similarly, some type of cylinder, even though they are numbers, you found ये number को हम add subtract करेंगे तो that will be wrong. So it should be treated as factor, right? Or not? Still you are confused. Where is the confusion? Can someone tell me? I'll try to explain. No confusion? So cylinders will be treated as factor, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So now question is, can we convert it to factor? Can we convert this cylinder data to factor type instead of numeric? So this is our question. So then let's first create the cylinder data as factors. कैसे create किया जाए? अगर हम अभी देखेंगे class empty cars dollar cylinder, तो this is numeric. Empty cars dollar cylinder type करेंगे just to check the data. So these are all numbers. I want to make it factor. So you can just write, last time हमने जो किया था creating factor, just write factor of empty cars dollar cylinder. What do you see in the output now?
Just converted it to factors. So
Very
zeros.
good. Very good. I can also write it as dot factor empty cars dollar cylinder. Same thing. So it can also convert it to factor. But see, now this parent data set, it has not changed anything in the parent data set, in the empty cars data frame. Let us see empty cars का हम अगर मैं अगर यहाँ पे क्लास करूंगा आज डॉट फैक्टर ऑफ एम्प्टी कार्स डॉलर सिलेंडर, तो मुझे ये दिखाएगा फैक्टर. बट अभी मैं फिर से जाऊंगा एम्प्टी कार्स में अगर चेक करूं, str चलो कर लेते हैं फिर से एम्प्टी कार्स. सी नथिंग हैज चेंज देयर, जैसे वो न्यूमेरिक था वही है. ये सर नो.
Yes, sir.
तो हम उसको चेंज करना पड़ेगा ना. वी नीड टू चेंज दैट टू फैक्टर टाइप. हाउ टू डू दैट? सो लेट असाइन द फैक्टर डेटा टू द एग्जिस्टिंग सिलेंडर डेटा. तो असाइन कैसे किया जाए? एम्प्टी कार्स डॉलर सिलेंडर, उसको हम असाइन करते हैं. क्या असाइन करेंगे? द फैक्टर फॉर्मेट विच वी जस्ट क्रिएटेड as dot factor empty cars dollar cylinder. ये मैं अगर रन करूं दिस कोड, इसका मतलब इस कोड का मीनिंग क्या हो रहा है? इन द राइट साइड आई एम कन्वर्टिंग इट टू फैक्टर. And what I'm doing after that? What is the meaning of this line 555? So this right side, we are converting this cylinder data to factor. So what we are doing after that?
We're typing, we're changing the class of the cylinder.
वो तो है, but just tell me stepwise. In the right side, we are just converting the existing cylinder data to factor. Then what we are doing in left side?
So assigning it the empty cars, we are assigning it to the
Assigning this data to existing cylinder data, right?
yes, sir.
जो न्यूमेरिक डेटा था उसी पे हमने अभी फैक्टर को असाइन कर दे रहे हैं. Is this what Sriya you are trying to say? Sriya or someone was telling. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So let us see, run that. तो assign हो गया. Now let us check the structure of empty cars. वहाँ पे change हुआ भी नहीं देखते हैं. Can you see that it has changed?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is how you can change it, because it's always definitely valid to work it as a factor data. It's not a numeric. Even if it's a number, you should not treat them as number. Are you getting what we are trying to understand here? If you are taking it as number and doing analysis, then it is wrong. Yes or no? They are category, they are not numbers, right? So which other variable you found similarly, those should be also treated as categories?
Engine, transmission.
Transmission.
So VS, then AM, the gear and carburetor. So these are. So engine type, can you tell me the code for writing this, changing this engine type to factor? How should I write?
S factor, empty cars, dollar symbol, engine.
Empty cars, dollar VS, then assign as that factor, empty cars, dollar VS. You can now check this. So this VS is also changed to factor. And as it usually it is showing two level. Yes, Simran, you want to say something?
So I want to ask that what is the function of as dot factor?
It's changing the existing data to factor. That is what we did last year. This is also same as like you have learned last time. Factor लिखते थे तो create कर लेता था. Now you write the same thing as that factor. It also change the thing to factor.
Okay, sir.
So this is how you can convert the data to your quiz. You can change from numeric to factor. You can change from factor to numeric. तुम बोलोगे चलो I might have wrongly written that cylinder as a factor, but I do not need that. I want it back to numeric. How will do that? Can you tell me?
RM.
Remove.
आरएम करोगे तो फिर से ओरिजिनली चला जाएगा. That is okay. Okay, not a wrong idea, but we want to convert back the cylinder to numeric. Just cylinder. तो अभी तो तुम्हारे डेटा सेट में 5 वेरिएबल है जो फैक्टर में तुम कन्वर्ट कर चुका है, but only the cylinder I want to back to numeric. So I can write like this: empty cars, dollar cylinder. अभी ये क्या है? Presently this is in which form? Factor, right?
Yes, sir.
So we will convert it to numeric. तो इसको लिख दो as dot numeric. there is a function. So these are new functions you are learning as dot numeric. जो है उसको डेटा को फिर से लाओ. So we want this cylinder data, उसको हम न्यूमेरिक करना चाहते हैं. तो मैंने अभी कर दिया. Let us check str of empty cars. Done. फिर से वो न्यूमेरिक हो गया वापस.
Yes, sir.
Good. So we are done. We'll stop here. I can take any couple of doubts or anything if you want to ask.
So here we are changing the parent data set, right?
We are changing, we are actually, when you call empty car, it create a copy of it in your local environment. So you are not changing anything in the parent. जैसे कि presently empty cars अगर मैं type करता हूँ, obviously it is changed. Some this kind of types are changed, but it is changing to your local copy. It has created a copy. Parent में जैसे था ऐसे ही है. That is how you can do. Remove कर दोगे तो तुम्हारा present वाला चला गया, and when you call again, you will able to get the fresh new data, the existing data. You see all these changes that you have done, now it's not there. क्योंकि मैंने remove करके फिर से call कर दिया. अगर parent में तुम change करते तो ये नहीं हो पाता ना.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fine. Any other doubt? नीचे दिखता ही नहीं है मतलब क्या है? Just give me a second. Just give me a second. Yes, sir. Comment there.